the most powerful man on earth, believed he controlled everything until he faced someone with nothing except the truth. No army, no wealth, no political power, just the truth. By the time Musa returned to Egypt, he was no longer the man who had fled years before. He wasn't a fugitive anymore. He was a messenger, chosen by Allah with a mission that no king could ignore, to confront Fir'aun, a ruler who didn't just govern Egypt, but claimed ownership over it, its land, its people, even its life. And when Musa entered the palace, he didn't come quietly. He came with a truth that had never been spoken in that room before. We are messengers from the Lord of the worlds. It was a statement that challenged everything Fir'aun stood for, because in his world, there was no authority above him. Everything could be controlled. Fir'aun didn't respond with anger, not at first. He responded with control. Calculated, he questioned Musa's past, reminded him where he came from, trying to weaken the message by weakening the man delivering it. But Musa didn't deny anything. He acknowledged his past and then raised something higher, that he had been guided, chosen by Allah, sent with a purpose that came from beyond Fir'aun's control. And then Musa made the demand to release Bani Israel, to let them go. This wasn't negotiation. It was a direct challenge, and Fir'aun knew this moment could not be allowed to stand. So he asked Musa for proof, not because he wanted truth, but because he believed everything could be explained, controlled. Musa responded not with words, but with a sign. What was in his hand looked ordinary. Nothing about it suggested power. Nothing about it demanded attention, until he cast it. And in an instant, the room changed. What they saw was no longer explainable. No illusion, no trick, something real, something that didn't follow the rules they understood. For a moment, no one moved, because this wasn't what they expected. And that's what made it dangerous. The certainty inside that palace shifted. But Fir'aun reacted immediately. He reframed it, called it magic and nothing more. Because if the people saw it as real, everything would begin to collapse. His control would begin to break. He decided to move the confrontation out of the palace, because Fir'aun didn't defeat the truth in private. He wanted to destroy it in public, or at least that's what he believed. A day was chosen, a gathering, crowds already present, because this wasn't just about truth anymore. It was about perception. Fir'aun gathered the best magicians in the land, men who understood illusion better than anyone, men who were not only performers, they were a weapon. The goal wasn't just to challenge Musa, it was to defeat him publicly, to turn belief into doubt, and doubt into obedience. The magicians performed first. Their illusions filled the space, convincing, overwhelming. To the people watching, it looked real. But when Musa responded, the difference was immediate. What the magicians created, what Musa brought, remained. It didn't fade. It didn't rely on perception. And the ones who understood that best were the magicians themselves, because they knew the limits of their craft, and this was beyond them. So in front of everyone, they believed in the Lord of Musa. That moment changed everything, because Fir'aun didn't just lose an argument, he lost control in front of his own people. And when a ruler built on fear loses control publicly, he doesn't step back. He tightens it. The magicians were threatened, punished, made into an example. You believed in him without my permission? Not because Fir'aun needed to prove power, but because he needed to restore fear. And the system responded. Pressure increased. Conditions, because when truth isn't defeated, it gets suppressed. Then came the signs, one after another. Not subtle, not ignorable. Events that disrupted the very system that sustained Egypt. And each time, Fir'aun responded the same way. He called Musa, "Make this stop. Pray to your Lord, and we will let them go." A promise, but not a real one. Each time, when relief came, he reversed it, because by now, this wasn't about truth. It was about refusal. He knew, but he chose not to accept. And each sign made one thing clearer. This wasn't Musa. This wasn't magic. Eventually, the pattern ended. This was something he couldn't control. And still, he refused. Until there was nothing left to say. No more warnings. No more signs. No more chances. Only one command remained. Leave. And so they did. Under the cover of night, Musa led Bani Israel out of Egypt. Men, women, children, quietly, carefully, but power doesn't let go easily. By morning, Fir'aun knew, and he responded the only way he knew how, with force. Because this wasn't about authority anymore. This was personal. The most powerful army moved fast, relentless, until the moment came where there was nowhere left to go. Mountains on both sides, the sea in front, and behind them, an army that didn't stop. They're right behind us. We're trapped. This is where it ends. But Musa didn't move, didn't panic. My Lord is with me. He will guide me, because this wasn't the end. This was the moment everything would change. And then, the impossible happened. The sea opened. A path formed. They moved through walls of water. From fear, they crossed. But Fir'aun followed, still convinced, still certain that control belonged to him. He entered the same path, the same sea, but not the same outcome. Because once Musa and the Bani Israel crossed, the path closed, the water collapsed, and in that moment, everything he claimed meant nothing. I believe in the Lord of Bani Israel. But it was too late, and just like that, it ended. The man who claimed he controlled everything couldn't control his final breath. Fir'aun didn't fall when the sea closed. He fell long before that. The moment he believed, nothing could touch him. Because arrogance doesn't start with a throne. A small win, a quiet certainty, and a subtle belief that you made it happen. Until one day, you were never in control to begin with, and by the time you realize it, there's no time left to turn back.